So welcome to Rachel Mazza's Office Hours for the Advertorial 101 training program. Today, we are going to dive into your questions. A couple people have submitted a copy for review or asked for some examples or asked specific questions about what you are learning in the Advertorial training program. So that's what we're going to go over today. And then I will post the replay of this as well for anyone who's not able to get on the call live, but did submit questions ahead of time. So in the chat, I just posted a link to the form where you can submit questions or copy ahead of time. Anytime you can do that, it helps me because I can go through your copy ahead of time and give you more thought out feedback rather than just doing it live on the call. But if you want to bring stuff to the call live, that is absolutely fine too. So today we're going to jump right in. Cami Thurman, who has been in several versions of this advertorial course, had a great question, so I'm going to go over her question. If anyone else has other questions, stick them in the Q&A, and I will go through those one by one. I see that Claudia is on the call, and Claudia wanted to go through some examples of advertorials in the pet industry, so we can absolutely do that. I see Bob's on the call and a couple of other people. If you guys have questions or want to go through anything specific, please stick that in the Q&A, and we will do that. All right, so these calls are for you guys to be able to ask questions and get extra coaching as you are going through the Advertorial 101 training program. So anytime that you're going through that material or the homework and you come up with questions, just mark it down or fill out the form so that we can make sure we go through these. All right, cool. So Cami says, I know the financial niche, whatever. I know the financial niche consumes a lot of advertorials. Is it possible to specialize in doing just advertorials? Or should I provide a whole pre-sale funnel, including ads, advertisements, landing pages prior to the sales page, or the whole funnel? So Cami says she's toying with the idea of financial, but doesn't really want to get into writing VSLs, which are video sales letters. That's when you write a script that's a sales letter. I know the long form sales letters are the holy grail in this niche, but I'm just not into them, at least not at this point. So is there a pre-sale product you suggest for this niche, and how would you offer that? So that is a really good question, and you're right, the long form sales letters, the VSLs, that's the holy grail because that's what makes the big bucks, right? But a lot of those need what the financial publishing industry calls funnel copy, and that's your advertorials, your Facebook ads, your emails, things like that. So sometimes, depending on the company, sometimes the copywriters who write the VSLs themselves write all of their own material. And in fact, a lot of copywriters prefer that because they want to have full control over the entire funnel. But a lot of times they don't. A lot of times they have other writers write the funnel copy, or they'll use someone else's funnel copy because it can be tedious to write all these big pieces after you've just written a big sales letter. So for example, Money Map Press is a financial publisher in the Agora family. And I know that they hire writers just to write advertorials, and they have all of their junior writers train by writing advertorials for sometimes up to 2 years. And so you can absolutely write exclusively write advertorials in the financial industry. And you don't ever have to write VSLs or long form sales letters if you don't want to. So for example, at Legacy Research, where my boyfriend Bronco works, it's another financial publisher in the Agora family. They have the copywriting department, which writes the big sales letters and all the stuff that's direct sales. And then they have the marketing department, which also includes editorial. So they would write more content-based stuff and more like top of the funnel sales copy, right? So we've got top of the funnel where people come in and first come into your world, and then bottom of the funnel, which is right before the sale. So things like the sales page or the VSL are bottom of the funnel. And then the top of the funnel would be your advertorials, your blogs, your emails, things like that. So you can absolutely come on to a marketing department in the financial industry and also write advertorials or emails, that kind of stuff at the top of the funnel as well, which is a little bit separate than the direct response copy. So that might be a good fit for you. So I think that answers your question, but Cami, if you want more info, absolutely go ahead and submit another response. All right, so we've got a couple questions coming into the Q&A here. Claudia, do you want to come on and talk about advertorials in the pet industry? You do not have to come on video, but if you would like to, I'll be glad to. Otherwise, I can just walk through some examples that I can find for you. See if Claudia is still on. I'm at work with a dog barking. No worries. So if anyone doesn't know Claudia, Claudia is a pet business owner. So I think Claudia it's a dog grooming industry or dog grooming business, right, Claudia? So she's at work and she's got a busy room full of animals. Yeah, that's absolutely okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go through a couple examples that I just Googled real quick right before this call, and then we can go through how I found them. So actually, let's do that. That might be helpful. So let me go ahead and open up my screen. Okay, so I knew that you were going to be on this call, Claudia, so I just went and found a couple examples. So all I did was start by Googling how to train your dog. That's how I started. And I started looking at some of the stuff that was coming up on the top here. So for example, the Spruce Pets is a like information site. So I clicked on that one. Of course, we've got YouTube videos. You can also use YouTube as advertorials. Caesar's Way, I think that's Caesar, the dog whisperer guy. So we've got how to teach your puppy basic commands. So I'm just looking through some of these. So I opened some up to see what they were, and here was and here's a an ad right out front. It says ad, right? So we know that that's let's see what those are. Let's just open all these up. Online dog training course. Cool. Excuse me. So here's what I found when I started clicking around on those things. This one is from, let me move all the Zoom stuff out of the way. This one is from the Preventative Vet, right? So this looks like it is an informational site about pets and selling pet products. Like they've got all this stuff on the side here. So they're selling info products. So I opened this one up and it says how to teach your dog to do anything in 4 easy steps. So if you've gone through, I think it's module 2 or 3 already, where we talked about the different types of advertorials, we can see that this is a listicle and is a little bit of a hybrid between a listicle and the editorial content, right? So the how-to content. And so they're selling their newsletter here or getting you to sign up for their newsletter. These are like blatant ads on the side, but let's take a look at the content itself. So it's a how-to content. It's providing lots of value up front, and someone who is interested in training their dog would obviously know that this is for them right away. So the headline's great, super specific, calls out who it's for. And it starts with, do you want to teach your dog a neat new trick? Or are you just getting started with puppy training and want to teach your dog the basics? Great. So it's kind of brought everyone in. That's what we call an inclusive statement, right? And so they're going through this. And as we go through, we can see they've got a podcast here. They've got some links in here. So these, let's see, these look like they go to other articles, which is great. It's got more information about different topics related to this. And look here, so connect with a certified dog trainer or behavioral consultant. So that is our first CTA link, real CTA link to a product. So this is all about how to train your dog, and it's like, here's all the information you need. This is super valuable for you. But if you just want someone to help you do it for you, connect with a certified dog trainer or behavior consultant. So that's how they put their first CTA in there. And you could do that up here. You could do that over here. So they chose to do it in this little sidebar here. Let's see, what else we got? Here's another CTA. Want to learn more about your dog's behavior and get some training tips? We've got 101 more for you here. And so I think that's that's a really terrible way to say it. See, everyone needs a better copywriter. But I'm guessing that goes to sign up for their newsletter maybe. Oh no, it's to buy their book. So there you go. So that's the second product in there. So these guys are actually promoting multiple products in the same advertorial. Excuse me. They've got this video here. This marker training, I think, goes to another article. And so all these articles that they're interlinking here, could also be selling other products. So some of them might be selling a higher cost product. Sometimes you need multiple layers if you're going to ask people to buy complex offers or higher cost offers. But for something like an $11 book, it's fine to put it in this first one here, right? Let's see here. What else they got? So they're linking to other articles. And again, they've got that final asking you to share in the comments below, and then they've got related articles. And then right here, they've got an ad for puppy essential workshops, right? So that's one example of how you could frame the content and link to those offers. So let's look at another one here. So this one is for Pedigree Dog Food. Excuse me, got a tickle. And obviously, Pedigree Dog Food is selling dog food, right? So this one's quite blatant and obvious, but they're using advertorials to bring people into their site seeking this information. It also ranks on search engines, so it's optimized for SEO, so it brings them that organic traffic. But obviously, they're just selling dog food, right? So this is 10 training tips for your new dog. So we've got that listicle version. And it's just going through top 10 tips to train your dog, right? It's super simple. I bet you could come up with a way more interesting angle here. But look, here is a link to their Dentistix treats, right? So that is the first CTA. It goes directly to their Dentistix treats. Looks like we've got another link. Oh, that's it. So that's all there. So they created this specifically as an advertorial for those Dentistix treats. And then if you click around and buy something else on their site, that's just gravy. So this is a good example of where you can publish an advertorial to your own website. It doesn't always have to be on a third-party site like Wired.com or BuzzFeed. You can publish to your own website. And again, like we talked about in the course, you just want to make sure that whatever you're publishing makes sense that it exists there, right? So for example, if they had an article that was like the top 5 best dog food brands for your dog, that would not make sense for Pedigree to publish that to their own site. That would be suspect. Be like, why are you promoting other dog brands on your website, right? But 10 training tips for your new dog makes very much sense why it would be on their site, and that's very natural to find on here. So when you're deciding where to publish your advertorial, just think about what you would naturally find on that website. I'm going to just, how you doing, Claudia? Does this make sense? I can go through a couple more. Awesome. All right, cool. So let's take a look at one more. Sorry, guys. I don't know why I got this crazy tickle in my throat. Okay, so the one thing about sharing on Zoom is that you have all these Zoom windows in your way, but no one else can see you. So it just looks like, can see them. So it just looks like you're a crazy person, like clicking around on the screen all the time. All right, cool. So this one is the Spruce Pets. This is an information publishing website. You may have seen the Spruce. They have a lot of recipes. So they're very much like home and garden, domestic content, so that kind of stuff. And so this one is specifically about pets. They also have the Spruce cooking or something like that. So this one is all about how to train your dog. So let's see what they've got. So these look like they go to other articles. Here's one for dog obedience program, right? So this is going to list dog obedience programs, I would imagine. Let's take a look. Well, here's a quiz sponsored by IAMS, right? So find the best dog breed for you, sponsored by IAMS. So they're using this content to bring people in a natural and interesting way and offer them more content that would lead to a sale. So yeah, so when I clicked through the second one, how to do it yourself obedience training to your dog, it looks like they're offering all these products here, right? So dog collars or harnesses, clicker training, let's see what else they got here. Yeah, so it looks like they're linking to products here. And if we go back to that one we had before, affordable dog training, right? Dog trainer. So these are going to be those CTAs to where you can sign up for their offers. See if they've got a bold CTA. It looks like the Spruce doesn't do very direct CTAs because they're more indirect marketing is what they're doing here. Cool. Okay. So some really good examples here. Let's just see what came up on the other ones. This is that Caesar's Way. I hate when they've got all these pop-ups here. This is that dog whisperer guy, Caesar. So he's got this article about 5 essential commands you can teach your dog. He's got this content site. He's got the CTAs. These obviously go to treats. This one goes to Amazon. So it goes to treats. Buy a leash on Amazon, buy a collar on Amazon. So if you're wondering how I know this, if you look at the bottom left-hand side of the page, when I hover over these links, I can see where it's going to go. So this one is going to this padded reflective training walking leash. So I can see that these are going to products. So this is very blatantly an advertorial, right? But it's disguised as helpful content. So this is a really good example of a more direct advertorial. It's quite clear that they're selling these products, but it's doing it in the form of offering you this really good content here. So some good examples here. So Claudia, how do you feel about that? Oh, so would I be able to go to IMS and pitch them with an advertorial written by me? You could absolutely do that. I would say that would be more of a sample that you would be using to get hired by IMS as a copywriter. So instead of, they're not going to probably buy your advertorial to run. They probably have copywriters on their team. So if you were applying for a job to be on their team, or if they were hiring freelance copywriters, that would be a wonderful sample to use for them. But they're not going to purchase your advertorial probably and then run it, because they probably have people on their team that write that stuff. So, but that would be a great example of how to present a sample, a relevant sample to a potential client. So if you were going to approach other companies, you could use that example as a pitch point as well. So you could say, I've watched IMS doing this. It seems to be working really well for them. Here's a similar example that I created. I think this would be really good to try in your business if you want to approach cold traffic. So you could also use those as a case study if you're approaching other clients as well. All right, let me open up. And if you want to talk about this more, Claudia, absolutely, just continue asking questions. Let me open up our Q&A here. Okay. So really good examples of advertorials in the pet industry there. We've got some other questions. So, all right, so Karen's asking, some advertorials feature multiple products. So why would you promote different products in an advertorial? This is a great question, and this is something that Angela has asked as well, if any of you guys have been on previous calls. So why would you promote multiple products in an advertorial? And where Angela before had asked this question, she was saying, why would you put competing products in your advertorial, right? So you remember there's different types of advertorials. We've got a listicle style, kind of, we saw some examples today, an editorial style, which is more informational or how-to. We've got a story-based article. So a lot of times, especially when you're using listicles, you will see multiple products promoted in the advertorial. And a lot of times that's because those listicles are being used by affiliate marketers who get paid by the companies that have those products every time someone buys the product through their link. So even though they're not selling those products for their company directly, they are a third-party marketer, and they are what we call an affiliate if you're not familiar with the industry. And so every time someone buys the product through their link, they get a commission, they get a kickback from that company. So if you have great copywriting skills and you know how to drive traffic to a website, you can absolutely set up a website, write great copy, and make great money without ever having a product of your own. So if you have a listicle, you might go to the top camera companies, right? And you have a site about cameras or a site about photography, and you might have a listicle of the top 10 cameras of 2020 or the top 10 cameras that professional photographers swear by, whatever it is, or top 10 cameras on a budget, whatever it is. And then you could go to all of the top camera companies and get an affiliate link where if someone bought that camera, you would get paid for it. So in that way, you could promote multiple products on that website, and you would get paid no matter what people bought. And of course, a lot of times affiliate marketers, they will feature whatever product that they get paid the most for or the best commission for. That will be like the number one best, right? So pretty clever. It's a whole industry, a whole business model. So if you want to talk about affiliate marketing, we absolutely can, but that's like a whole different thing. But it's a good example of why you would see multiple products in a single advertorial. Okay, cool. Sweet. So again, we're going through these, and if you've got any other questions, stick them in the Q&A. All right, so what are some ways to use advertorials if you're an affiliate marketer? Okay, well, there you go. That's what we just talked about, right? So we just talked about the listicle, right? So the top 10 cameras of 2020, that's a great example. You could also do a listicle of do's and don'ts. So the biggest mistakes that newbie photographers make, or the top 3 things you must do if you want your photos to look professional, stuff like that, right? You could also do product reviews if you're an affiliate marketer. So you can either do a review about one product, like I've always liked those articles that are like, I tried Weight Watchers and here's what happened. Or you could do something like, does Weight Watchers actually work? here's what happened when I tried it for 30 days, stuff like that. So again, you can see how you could use these for different industries as well. So if we connect it back to the pet industry, you could do things like the top 10 pet food brands that all vets swear by, or the top 3 things you must never do if you're training your new puppy, or the best top 3 ways to train your puppy fast, things like that. If you're doing a product review, you could say, I tried this invisible fence for 30 days and here's what happens. And you can even like add some shock value in there, right? Like, I tried this invisible fence and you'll be shocked at the results, things like that. So whatever you want to do with these listicles, the product reviews, you could also do the story-based version. So how one mom from Texas finally trained her stubborn dog, whatever it is, or how one broke college student takes professional photos worthy of Vogue, things like that, right? So you can also do those story-based advertorials. All right, next question here. Where do you publish your advertorials? I think you mean, where do you publish? Do you publish to your own site or another site? So where do you publish your advertorials? Good question. So this is something we've talked a little bit about before, and I absolutely talk about in the course too. If you haven't gotten to that module yet, we'll go into that deep in the course. So basically there's 2 options, right? You can publish the advertorial to your own site, or you can publish the advertorial to someone else's site. So if you publish to your own site, this is something we just talked about, absolutely fine. You can publish to your own site. But like we talked about before, make sure that the content is appropriate for that website, right? So again, if you were Pedigree Dog Food, you're probably not going to publish an advertorial that's a listicle that lists the top 10 dog food brands in the US, right? It doesn't make sense. People are going to be suspicious about why you're publishing your competitors on your site. And then of course, if Pedigree is the #1 brand, they're like, well, this is stupid. Of course it is, right? It's biased. So that doesn't make sense. But publishing an advertorial about the top 10 ways to train your dog fast, that would make sense. That's something that you could naturally find on that site. Or if it's like a more editorial article, like why Pedigree Dog Food is recommended by 5 out of 10 vets, or whatever it is, right? So like stuff like that, like you could talk about your product. But if it's something like that would not make sense for your website, you can publish it to a third-party site, and that's also a great way to borrow authority from a credible source. So for example, if you're talking about Pedigree Dog Food and you say Pedigree Dog Food's stock soars after signing a new spokesperson, that would be really great if that could show up in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or some other financial publication. That gives a lot of weight and credibility to that topic. So that's something where when you can publish to a third-party site, that's going to give you a lot of cred, and it's going to give you a boost in authority because you're going to borrow authority from that third party that people already respect and think is a credible source. So if you remember from I think it's module 4, we talk about this, you can use content networks like taboola.com, outbrain.com, adblade.com, and you can actually pay these services to publish your content on sites like Wired, BuzzFeed, the Wall Street Journal, CNN.com, all these places. And so those content networks are actually advertising platforms, and you write an advertorial, give it to them, and they will publish it on their website, on these third-party websites. But you can also do guest blogging. You can submit guest blogs to lots of sites. You can develop partnerships with other websites, like people that have content-heavy websites, and you can ask to put a link in the article. There's lots of different ways you can get your article published to a third-party site, but if it's a really big site like BuzzFeed, CNN, Wired, then you're probably going to want to use a content network to get your article on that site. All right. Cool. So Claudia says, I'm going to pick a pet supplement product for week 1 assignment. Will that be a good sample? So in the advertorial course, if you guys haven't gotten through the first module yet, we ask you to pick a product to write about. And so Claudia, yes, absolutely. That would be an amazing product because it's a lot easier to write about a very specific product rather than either you or your service or your business or like some like crazy complex thing like a really high-end coaching service. So yes, absolutely. A pet supplement would be amazing. And also that's not only going to give you good sample for the pet industry, it'll also be a good practice for the health industry as well. So absolutely, that's really great. I could already see you doing a couple different versions. You could do the listicle of like the top 3 supplements to cure your dog's eczema. Your dog has eczema, psoriasis, whatever. You could do things like the strange plant, the strange everyday plant that scientists have found stops dogs from barking or something like that, right? Or how one small town veterinarian found the secret to extending her dog's life by 10 years, whatever it is. So you can do story-based, you can do how-to, you can do listicles. So absolutely. And if you want to go through any of those ideas or get feedback, absolutely, we can talk about that more. But that is a great product to pick for week 1 assignment, definitely. Okay. Awesome, she says. Great. So what else we got in here? Would you recommend hand copying advertorials? You can hand copy advertorials. I really like the idea of hand copying to learn how to learn copywriting. It's a great way to start to learn. But I think once you've got the basics, the best way to learn and get good fast is to practice and test. So the best thing you can do if you don't have a client is practice. So start writing an advertorial, pick a product just like Claudia just did. It's a pet supplement, and then try and write an advertorial across all different styles and in different angles about that same product. I think that's a great way to practice your advertorials. And then to take it to the next level, of course, you want to test and see the results to see what works. But if you're just getting started, you don't have a client yet, or you don't have the budget to test with your own ads, then the best thing that you can do is pick a product and practice writing an advertorial across different styles of advertorial for the same product. That's the best way that you can practice. And then you're going to be able to go to a client and you're going to say like, look, I can write you an advertorial with 3 different angles so that you can test them, pick the one that's the best for your campaign and go with that one. It'll save you a ton of money because we'll be able to test easy right up front. And then they can use that winning theme to carry that into their sales page and the rest of their funnel. So it's a good way to pitch clients as well. All right, cool. So I think that's all the questions we've got today. Let me just double check. I've got like 3 windows open with questions. So yep, all good. So that is excellent. Anyone else want to come on and ask questions before we sign off? I want to make sure you guys get as much attention and help as you need as you're going through this. Stick it in the chat, stick it in the Q&A if you want to come on. Otherwise, I will see you for the next office hours, and you can use that form to submit copy. If you want me to, I am happy to give you feedback on your copy. Just submit that through the form, and I will make sure to go through it ahead of time so that I can give you notes, and then we can discuss it and dive into all those in detail. So if no one has any other questions, I am going to say goodbye. And I'm really looking forward to the next call. This is really great. So thanks for being here with me. Submit your questions, submit your copy. And as you're going through the course, if you get stuck on anything, please don't hesitate to email me. support@rachelmazza.com is the best way to get me, and either me or my team will get back to you right away. And I am here to support you with whatever you guys need. All right. So in the meantime, enjoy, and I'll see you the next call. Bye.